Noah's flight landed at 6:17 p.m., the sky outside the airport windows already bruised with the colors of early winter dusk. He'd barely slept on the plane, his mind running in anxious circles about the job interview tomorrow, the new city, the apartment he'd only seen in photos. He moved through the terminal on autopilot, following the crowd to baggage claim, his phone buzzing with a text from his sister. "Let me know when you land. Don't forget your suit jacket this time, genius." He smiled despite himself, thumbed a quick reply, and watched the carousel begin its slow, mechanical rotation. The bags tumbled out, black and navy and gray, all nearly identical. Noah's was a battered navy roller with a red ribbon tied to the handle, a trick his sister insisted on so he wouldn't lose it. He spotted it after a few minutes, grabbed the handle, and wheeled it away, not noticing the absence of the ribbon in his exhaustion. Outside, the air was sharp and cold. He called a rideshare, climbed into the back seat, and tried to ignore the driver's attempts at small talk. His mind was already on tomorrow. The pitch he'd practiced, the resume he'd rewritten a dozen times, the hope that maybe this city would be the fresh start he needed. He'd left so much behind: his father's funeral, the apartment that still smelled like her perfume, the ache of a life that had unraveled quietly, thread by thread. He reached his temporary apartment, a furnished place with 2 white walls and a view of the parking lot. He set the suitcase on the bed, unzipped it, and froze. Inside, instead of his carefully folded shirts and the suit jacket his sister had ironed, were children's clothes: tiny jeans, a pink sweater with a unicorn, a pair of sparkly sneakers. There was a book with a cracked spine, The Velveteen Rabbit, and a small, battered stuffed fox. Beneath it all, a folder labeled Ava Private. Noah stared, heart thudding. He checked the luggage tag: Ava Reynolds, 555-0192. His own name nowhere in sight. He'd taken the wrong suitcase. He sat on the edge of the bed, running a hand through his hair. He should call the number, arrange a swap, apologize for the mix-up, but something about the folder caught his eye. He knew he shouldn't open it, privacy, boundaries, all that, but the word private seemed to pulse with urgency. He hesitated, then set it aside, guilt prickling at his skin. Instead, he pulled out his phone and dialed the number on the tag. It rang twice, then a woman's voice answered, breathless and anxious. "Hello? Hi, this is going to sound strange, but I think I have your suitcase. I just landed at Logan and—" "Oh my God, thank you," she interrupted, relief flooding her words. "I've been calling the airport, but they said nothing had turned up yet. My daughter's things are in there, and—" Her voice broke, just for a second. "Thank you for calling." "No problem," Noah said, feeling awkward. "I'm at a short-term rental in Back Bay. I can meet you somewhere, or—" "I'm still at the airport," she said quickly. "I can come to you. My daughter's with me, and she's tired, and—" She trailed off, as if embarrassed by her own urgency. "No worries," Noah said, trying to sound reassuring. "Text me when you're close. I'll be here." He hung up, the silence in the apartment suddenly heavy. He looked at the suitcase again, at the small shoes and the stuffed fox, and wondered about the woman on the other end of the line, Ava. He pictured her as harried, maybe a little frazzled, the kind of person who juggled too many things at once. He wondered about her daughter, about the life packed into this suitcase. He set the folder back inside, zipped the bag, and tried to distract himself by unpacking his carry-on. But his mind kept drifting back to the suitcase, to the voice on the phone, to the way she'd sounded on the edge of tears. He thought about the last time he'd felt that desperate, that lost. It wasn't so long ago. An hour later, his phone buzzed. "Hi, it's Ava. I'm outside, silver Honda." Noah grabbed the suitcase and headed downstairs. The parking lot was lit by harsh yellow lights, the air colder now. He spotted the car, a woman in the driver's seat, a little girl asleep in the back. Ava stepped out as he approached, her hair pulled back in a messy bun, dark circles under her eyes. She looked younger than he'd expected, but there was a tiredness in her posture that made her seem older. "Thank you so much," she said, her voice low. I'm so sorry for the trouble."
"No trouble," Noah said, handing over the suitcase. "I'm the one who grabbed the wrong bag." She smiled, a quick, grateful thing. "It happens. My daughter, Lily, she gets anxious if she doesn't have her things. The fox, especially." She glanced at the sleeping child in the back seat, her expression softening. Noah nodded, feeling suddenly self-conscious. "I hope you found your bag." She shook her head. "Not yet. I filed a report. They said they'll call if it turns up." He hesitated, then said, "If you need anything, I'm around. I know what it's like to lose things you can't replace." Ava looked at him, really looked, as if searching for something in his face. "Thank you," she said quietly. "That means more than you know." He watched as she loaded the suitcase into the car, checked on her daughter, and drove away. He stood in the cold for a moment, the night pressing in, and wondered why he felt like something important had just happened. Noah went back upstairs, the echo of Ava's gratitude lingering in his mind. He tried to shake it off, telling himself it was just a simple mix-up, a story he'd laugh about later. But as he closed the apartment door behind him, the emptiness of the space pressed in. He glanced at his own carry-on, the only bag he'd managed to keep track of, and realized how little of his life he'd brought with him. A few shirts, a toothbrush, a photo of his father tucked into a book. Everything else was still in boxes, waiting for a future he wasn't sure he believed in. He made coffee, the cheap kind that came in single-serve packets, and sat at the kitchen table, scrolling through job interview notes on his phone. But his mind kept drifting back to Ava and her daughter. He wondered what it would be like to travel with a child, to have someone depend on you so completely. He thought of the way Ava had looked at her sleeping daughter, the fierce protectiveness in her eyes. He tried to remember the last time someone had looked at him that way.
The next morning, Noah woke before dawn, nerves jangling. He dressed carefully, choosing the least wrinkled shirt, and practiced his answers in the mirror. He tried to ignore the way his hands shook as he tied his tie. He thought about calling his sister for a pep talk, but the time difference made him hesitate. Instead, he grabbed his portfolio and headed out into the cold, the city still quiet, the sky just beginning to lighten. The interview was in a glass tower downtown, the kind of place that smelled like money and ambition. Noah sat in the lobby, watching people in sharp suits glide past, and tried to remember why he'd wanted this so badly. He thought about his old life, the one he'd left behind, and wondered if he was really ready to start over. When they called his name, he stood, smoothed his jacket, and followed a receptionist down a long hallway. The interview itself was a blur. Questions about his experience, his goals, his willingness to relocate. He answered as best he could, trying to sound confident, but he could feel the weight of his uncertainty pressing down. When it was over, he shook hands, thanked them for their time, and stepped back out into the cold. He felt lighter somehow, as if just surviving the ordeal was a victory. He wandered the city for a while, letting the noise and movement distract him. He bought a coffee from a street vendor, watched a group of kids play soccer in a park, and tried to imagine himself here, building a new life. He thought about Ava again, about the way she'd clung to her daughter's suitcase, about the folder labeled private. He wondered what secrets she carried, what burdens she bore. That evening, as he was microwaving dinner, his phone buzzed. Unknown number. He hesitated, then answered. "Hi, Noah, it's Ava. I hope this isn't weird, but I wanted to thank you again for helping with the suitcase. Lily's been talking about the nice man from the airport all day." Noah smiled, surprised by how much the call meant. "I'm glad she's okay. Did you find your bag?" A sigh. "Not yet. They think it might have gone to Chicago by mistake. I'm trying not to panic, but there were some things in there I can't replace." He heard the strain in her voice, the exhaustion. "If there's anything I can do, let me know. Seriously." There was a pause, then a soft laugh. "You're very kind. Most people would have just dropped the bag at Lost and Found and forgotten about it." Noah shrugged, even though she couldn't see him. "I know what it's like to lose things. Sometimes it's not just about the stuff." Another pause. "Yeah, sometimes it's about what the stuff means."
They talked for a few more minutes, the conversation easy, natural. Ava told him about her move, how she'd left everything behind after her divorce, how she was trying to start over for her daughter's sake. Noah found himself sharing more than he intended about his father's death, about the job he hoped would give him a second chance. By the time they hung up, he felt a little less alone. The next day, Noah got a call from the interviewers. He didn't get the job. He listened to the polite rejection, thanked them, and sat on the edge of the bed, staring at the wall. He felt the old, familiar ache of disappointment, the sense that no matter how hard he tried, he was always just a little bit too late, a little bit not enough. He thought about calling his sister, but he didn't want to hear her try to cheer him up. Instead, he texted Ava, "Did you find your bag?" A few minutes later, she replied, "Not yet, but Lily says hi. She drew you a picture." Noah smiled, the heaviness in his chest easing just a little. He replied, "Tell her I'd love to see it sometime." That evening, there was a knock at his door. He opened it to find Ava and Lily standing in the hallway, the little girl clutching a piece of paper covered in crayon hearts and stick figures. Ava looked embarrassed, but Lily beamed up at him. "I drew you," she said proudly, "and Mommy, and me. We're at the airport." Noah knelt down, taking the picture. "This is amazing. Thank you, Lily." Ava smiled, her eyes soft. "We were in the neighborhood. I thought maybe you could use some company." Noah stepped aside, letting them in. The apartment felt warmer somehow with their presence. They sat at the kitchen table, sharing stories, laughing at Livy's jokes. For the first time since he'd arrived in the city, Noah felt like he belonged. Noah made tea while Ava helped Lily out of her coat, the little girl's chatter filling the apartment with a kind of brightness he hadn't realized he'd been missing. Lily wanted to know everything: why Noah had moved, if he liked dinosaurs, whether he could draw a unicorn as well as she could. Ava apologized for her daughter's curiosity, but Noah just grinned and said he didn't mind. He found himself answering Lily's questions honestly, letting her laughter chip away at the walls he'd built around himself. They ate microwaved popcorn and watched cartoons on Noah's laptop, Lily curled up between them on the couch. Ava seemed more relaxed than she had at the airport, her shoulders less tense, her smile easier. Noah noticed the way she watched her daughter, the way she seemed to measure every moment, as if she was afraid it might slip away. He wondered what it had cost her to start over, to leave behind whatever life she'd had before. When Lily finally fell asleep, her head in Ava's lap, the apartment was quiet except for the hum of the heater. Ava stroked her daughter's hair, her gaze distant. "She's had a hard year," Ava said softly. "The divorce, the move, new school. She misses her dad, even though he's not really around." Noah nodded, understanding more than he could say. "Kids are resilient, but it's hard, for both of you." Ava looked at him, her eyes shining in the dim light. "You don't have kids, do you?" He shook his head. "No. I always thought maybe someday, but life didn't work out that way." She smiled, a little sad. "It never does it?" Noah hesitated, then said, "My dad died last year. I was supposed to visit him, but I got busy with work. I missed my flight. I missed everything. I keep thinking if I'd just done one thing differently, maybe he'd still be here." Ava was quiet for a moment. "I know that feeling. I keep replaying the last fight I had with Lily's dad, wondering if I could have said something different, done something different. But you can't go back. You just keep moving forward." Noah nodded, the truth of her words settling in his chest. "I'm trying. Some days are easier than others." Ava smiled, reaching out to squeeze his hand. "You're doing better than you think." They sat in silence, the kind that felt comfortable, not awkward. Noah realized he hadn't felt this kind of peace in a long time. He glanced at Ava, at the way she held her daughter, and felt something shift inside him, a sense of possibility, fragile but real. Eventually, Ava stood, careful not to wake Lily. "We should go. It's late, and she'll be grumpy in the morning." Noah walked them to the door, Lily still half asleep in her mother's arms. Ava paused in the hallway, her expression uncertain. "Thank you," she said, For tonight, for being kind. Noah smiled. Any time, really. She hesitated, then leaned in and kissed his cheek, quick and soft. Good night, Noah. He watched them walk down the hall, the door closing softly behind them. He stood there for a long moment, the echo of Ava's kiss lingering on his skin. He felt the urge to call his sister, to tell her about the strange, wonderful evening, but he knew he couldn't explain it, not yet. Instead, he cleaned up the popcorn bowls and sat on the couch, staring at Lily's drawing. 3 stick figures, holding hands at the airport. He traced the crayon hearts with his finger and felt something like hope flicker in his chest. The next few days passed in a blur. Noah sent out more job applications, went on long walks through the city, and tried to ignore the gnawing uncertainty about his future. He and Ava texted often, little updates about Lily, jokes about the city's terrible drivers, encouragement on tough days. Sometimes Ava would send a photo of Lily's latest drawing or a snapshot of the 2 of them at the park. Noah found himself looking forward to those messages, saving them in a folder on his phone. One afternoon, as Noah was coming back from a grocery run, he spotted Ava and Lily in the park across the street. Lily was chasing pigeons, her laughter ringing out, while Ava sat on a bench, watching her with a tired smile. Noah hesitated, then crossed the street, waving as he approached.
"Hey, strangers," he called. Ava looked up, her face lighting up. "Noah, come join us." He sat beside her, setting his grocery bag on the ground. Lily ran over, breathless and pink-cheeked. "Noah, look, I found a feather." He admired the feather, pretending to be amazed, and Lily giggled. Ava watched them, her eyes soft. "You're good with her," she said quietly. Noah shrugged, a little embarrassed. "She's easy to like." Ava smiled. "She likes you, too. She doesn't warm up to people easily." They sat together, watching Lily play. The sun was setting, painting the sky in shades of gold and pink. Noah felt a sense of contentment settle over him, a feeling he hadn't known in a long time. As the evening grew colder, Ava gathered Lily's things and stood. "We should get going, dinner and bedtime." Noah nodded, standing as well. "Let me know if you need anything, really." Ava smiled, tucking a strand of hair behind her ear. "I will, and Noah, thank you for being here." He watched them walk away, Lily skipping ahead, Ava following with a gentle smile. Noah stood in the fading light, the city buzzing around him, and realized he was starting to feel at home. A week later, Noah's phone rang just after midnight. He woke groggy, blinking at the unfamiliar ceiling, the city's glow leaking through the blinds. The call was from Ava. His heart thudded with worry as he answered. "Ava, is everything okay?" Her voice was shaky, barely above a whisper. "I'm sorry to call so late. I didn't know who else to call. Lily's sick. She's burning up and I can't get her fever down. I'm scared, Noah." Noah was already pulling on jeans, grabbing his keys. "I'll be right there. Text me your address." He was out the door before she finished sending it, adrenaline cutting through the fog of sleep. The city felt different at night, quieter, the streets empty except for the occasional cab. He found Ava's building, a modest walk-up with peeling paint and a flickering porch light. She buzzed him in, and he took the stairs 2 at a time. Ava opened the door, her hair loose around her face, eyes red-rimmed with worry. Lily lay on the couch, cheeks flushed, eyes glassy. Noah knelt beside her, brushing a damp curl from her forehead. "Hey, kiddo, not feeling so good, huh?" Lily managed a weak smile. "My tummy hurts." Ava hovered, wringing her hands. "I gave her medicine, but her fever won't go down. I don't know what to do." Noah tried to remember what his sister did when her kids were sick. "Let's get her some water. Cool washcloths. If her fever doesn't break soon, we'll take her to urgent care." He moved through the apartment, finding the kitchen, filling a glass. The place was small but tidy, toys stacked in a corner, drawings taped to the fridge. He brought the water to Lily, coaxing her to sip. Ava sat beside them, her hands trembling.
Noah kept his voice calm, steady. "You're doing everything right, Ava. Kids get sick. It's scary, but you're not alone." Ava looked at him, tears brimming. "I feel like I'm failing her, like I'm always one step behind." Noah shook his head. "You're not failing. You're here. You're fighting for her. That's what matters." They sat together through the night, taking turns cooling Lily's forehead, whispering reassurances. At dawn, Lily's fever finally broke. She drifted into a deeper sleep, her breathing easier. Ava sagged with relief, tears slipping down her cheeks. Noah put an arm around her, pulling her close. She didn't resist, resting her head on his shoulder. "Thank you," she whispered. "I don't know what I would have done if you hadn't come." He squeezed her hand. "You would have figured it out, but I'm glad you called." They sat in silence, the city waking up outside. Noah felt the exhaustion in his bones, but also a strange sense of peace. He realized he didn't want to leave. Ava must have sensed it because she looked up at him, her eyes searching his. "Why did you really move here, Noah?" He hesitated, then told her the truth. "I needed to start over. After my dad died, I felt lost. I thought a new city, a new job would fix things. But it turns out you can't outrun grief. You just have to live with it." Ava nodded, understanding in her gaze. "I thought leaving would make everything better, but sometimes I wonder if I'm just running away." Noah smiled gently. "Maybe we're both just trying to find a place where we belong." Ava reached for his hand, lacing her fingers through his. "Maybe we already have." The days that followed blurred together. Noah became a fixture in Ava and Lily's lives, helping with groceries, fixing a leaky faucet, reading bedtime stories. He found himself looking forward to evenings in their apartment, to Lily's laughter and Ava's quiet smiles. The city felt less intimidating, the future less uncertain. One afternoon, as they walked through the park, Lily skipped ahead, chasing pigeons. Ava and Noah strolled behind, their hands brushing. Ava glanced at him, her expression serious. "There's something I want to show you." She reached into her bag and pulled out the folder Noah had seen in her suitcase, the one labeled Ava Private. She handed it to him, her hands shaking. "I've been carrying this for years. It's everything from my divorce, court papers, letters I never sent, things I was too afraid to let go of. I thought if I kept it close, I could control what happened next. But I don't want to hide anymore, not from you." Noah took the folder, feeling the weight of her trust. He set it aside, reaching for her hands. "You don't have to show me anything you're not ready to. I'm here, Ava, all of you, not just the parts you think are easy to love." Ava's eyes filled with tears, but she smiled. "Thank you for seeing me." He pulled her into a hug, holding her tight. For the first time in a long time, Noah felt whole. That evening, as they sat together in the glow of the setting sun, Lily curled up between them, Noah realized he'd found what he'd been searching for. Not a new city or a new job, but a new beginning. A place where he was needed, where he could be himself, scars and all. Ava leaned her head on his shoulder, her voice soft. "Do you ever wonder what would have happened if you hadn't taken my suitcase?" Noah laughed, the sound warm and easy. "Every day. I think it was the best mistake I ever made." Ava smiled, her eyes shining. "Me too." They sat together, the three of them, as the city lights flickered on outside. In that small apartment, with Ava's hand in his and Lily's laughter echoing through the room, Noah finally felt at home.